Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel. This video is going to be giving us a brief about the possible NHS interview questions for nurses, midwives, and like 5 of them that are most common with every trust, with every hospital in the UK. The basic ones that they ask you, that they ask everyone, that you can't escape. Yes, there are some others that are specific to hospitals, but these ones are like very, very important, very vital. They always ask them. So number one question, the number one very, very first question they always ask everyone is tell me about yourself. Like every hospital always asks you this question because they want you to give them that, like, sell yourself to them, present yourself to them, tell them about you, and not just telling them your name, your date of birth and all that. They want you to give them like very, very full information about you, about what you do, your qualifications, your educational qualifications, professional qualifications, like all those things. They want you to put it into that talk and then be confident while doing that. Okay, so tell me about yourself. Like they're telling you to tell them your name, of course, and then tell them what you do currently, your job experiences, where you've been working from past to the present, where you're currently working. And then they want you to tell them your educational qualifications, the skills that make you that make you different, that make you fit for the role. You understand? Like good communication skills, team working spirit, all those kind of skills. They want you to put it there, like tell them, okay, this is what makes me special, this is why you should employ me, this is why I am different, this is why I'm the right fit for the role. You understand? So they want you to tell them all of that. You have to make it really, really in-depth talk about yourself. Don't just give them a 2-second talk about this is my name is Joy, I'm this, full stop, and then you're waiting for them to ask you another question. Let them even be the one to stop you. Yes, it's good that they are the ones that stop you, that tell you, okay, it's enough, we can go over to the next question. That way they are satisfied, okay, I've known this person enough. So that's how you're able to actually conquer this question. Tell me about yourself. Tell them about the trainings you've had as well, the voluntary works you've done. Like just give them that in-depth talk, and you have to prepare for this beforehand. Of course, write out the list of what you're going to be telling them, your educational qualification, job experiences, your trainings you've had, your skills, interpersonal skills, and then what you hope to gain in the future as well, like the qualifications you hope to gain in the future. If for instance you want to get your BSc degree, you want to get your master's degree, put it there as well. Tell them at the end of it, that's all about that. Tell me about yourself. They want you to give them a really deep talk about it. And then another question they ask is why you want to work in the NHS, why you chose the NHS, why you decided to work in the NHS. So you have to tell them the reason why you decided to work in the NHS. It's a very common question that they ask you as well. So make sure that you also know about their values, because they are going to be asking you about their values. Like the particular NHS you're applying to, they are going to be asking you the values that are peculiar to it. Tell them how their values relate to you as a person. If for instance one of their values is compassion, tell them how you are a compassionate nurse, how you have been a compassionate nurse in the past, how you have been a compassionate midwife, how you've shown compassion to a patient. Give them an example, a story, and then tell them how that relates to their trust values. So make sure that before the interview you've had a look at their trust values, know how it relates to you as a person, as a professional. You understand? So that's another question they always ask. And then the third one they always ask is the 6 C's of cares. They ask about the 6 C's of cares. They ask about hypoglycemic pathway. They ask about that hypoglycemia is for midwives especially, and it's not that common though, but it still comes up once in a while. If for registered midwives now, you can ask you give you a scenario like you meet a patient, a woman that's just giving birth and is like has collapsed. You check the blood sugar is low. What will you do? You understand? You know that it's hypoglycemia, so you have to put in the pathway and then tell them what you're going to be doing in that scenario. For another question for midwife as well is they ask about newborn life support, like how you're going to carry out resuscitation on the newborn, the inflation breath that you're going to be giving and all of that, compression, ventilation, the rate and all that. So they ask that for midwives as well. Those two questions usually come up with midwifery questions. And then they ask about CTG, if you've had knowledge about CTG, if you're a midwife as well. For nurses, no. So that's for that. Another thing they also ask is they ask you about your why you decide to apply to them, why you decide to work with them, why you want to work with them. You understand? So you have to tell them, okay, this is why I want to work with you, this is why I'm the best fit for the job, this is, give them your stuff, give them, I know you can do it, I know you got it in you get. So another thing they ask is how you manage conflict in the workplace. Say for instance, you walk into two people fighting, for instance, I'm just giving an example, like how will you manage that conflict? How would you manage all that conflict that occur in the workplace? So imagine yourself in such scenarios and then think about what you would do in that scenario as well, and let them know. And they also ask about how you work with or how you manage multidisciplinary team, communication, how you can communicate with MDT teams, that's multidisciplinary team. If they just want to know if you have that good MDT communication skill, sell yourself out. And for midwives as well, so the other ones I've been talking is just general one, nurses and midwives. So for midwife as well, they can ask you about emergencies, like emergency scenarios like postpartum hemorrhage, cord prolapse, shoulder dystocia, things like that, breech presentation, give you scenarios on it. Say for instance, your lady has just delivered and then you walk into the room and see her bleeding, or she called you, put the cover, and then you came in and saw her pouring blood. What will you do? So you want to exhibit your emergency skills, pulling the core bell kind of thing, getting people in, the drugs you're giving, like the stuff. So put it, arrange it and put it in a good way for them. Tell them what you do in those scenarios. I think, and then they'll ask you about your educational qualification as well, what you've had. So if you have not told them about it before, and tell me about yourself. So this is the time when you tell them about the educational qualifications you've acquired over the years. If you've gotten your BSc, diploma, masters, depending on what you've gotten. I'm not saying that you need diploma, you need them masters or BSc to be able to apply for jobs. Your diploma is enough as a registered nurse, as a registered midwife. But they can ask you your educational qualifications, ask you about why you decide to work with them, or why you decide to apply to the NHS, or things like that. So tell me about yourself, C's of care, that's compassion, care, commitment, communication, and all that. And then that's the C's of nursing. They ask you about that. They ask you about why you decide to work with the NHS. They ask you about why you decide to work with them in particular, the hospital. Ask you about their trust values. Very important. Make sure that you know the trust values and you know how it applies to you as a person. Apply it to scenarios, to experiences you've had in the world in the past. Tell them stories. Give stories. Don't stop talking. In during IELTS time, IELTS speaking, your advice to keep talking until the examiner stops you. So do the same when you're answering NHS interview questions. Like, just keep talking until you stop. Make sure you know your stuff. Just keep talking. All those things. You have them in your head. Don't limit yourself. Keep talking about it until you're stopped. And then for midwives, like I said, you're asked NLS, newborn life support. You're asked emergencies and drills like postpartum hemorrhage, shoulder dystocia, cord prolapse, You ask the hypoglycemia, diabetes, mellitus, giving scenarios on them. You're not just ask what is hypoglycemia or what is postpartum hemorrhage. No, you're giving scenarios or situations where this thing has happened to a woman. How will you respond? What will you do? So that's how they ask it. And communication with MDT team, CTG for midwives, and yeah, that's it. So the first set that I said, like I said, they apply to both nurses and midwives. They tell me about yourself, why you decide to work with the trust, why you decide to work with NHS, and all those bits. They apply to both nurses and midwives. The only ones that is specific to only midwives is newborn life support, those emergency drills, and then hypoglycemic pathway. I think they can also ask hypoglycemia for nurses as well, but it's really not that common. And yeah, that's all about that. I can also drop a few more others in the description of this video. I just don't want this video to be that long, just to give you the drill about, the general question to expect. If you don't have, idea on it at all, this is what you should be expecting, like something like this that you should be expecting on that day of your interview. And I hope you really do find this video helpful. If you did, please drop it in the comment section. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.